I need starts and ends, people.
That was over. You're done. Move on.
Okay. All right. Move on, they say. Move on.
Share, subscribe to this wonderful
All
hot
right. It is. Don't call me a hot mess. Call me hot. Call me mess. Okay. The other thing I wanted to talk about today, because I knew Brent wasn't going to be here and I had to fill his workbench because I knew Eddie was going to let me down, was what's going on out there in the quilting world, because my goodness, I can't keep up with all the stuff, all the new stuff that's out there. And I wanted to talk about one that really whet my appetite, and it didn't whet other people's appetite, but it whet mine, so I want to tell you about it anyway. It's a mystery quilt that there's a bug flying around me. There's a mystery quilt that Hoop Sister just released last week. They're releasing, anybody know who Hoop Sisters is? They do their stuff on an embroidery machine. Most of their quilting is done in the hoop. It's some beautiful work. Maybe I can bring some up on my computer afterwards. Not yet. There's something on there I don't want to show you. It's the naked men pictures. Okay. They make some beautiful stuff. They have a couple things that I've only made one of their quilts before. They like to use their own batting called Battleizer, which I'm told is just like somebody else's. Well, I called them. Yes, I did. And I said, is your Battleizer the same as this? And they said, no. I said, why is it different? And they said, because we have something in between the layers that other batting does not have, that we believe makes it more stable. And I said, really? And they said, yes. So I said, I need some. I need some because they don't have it in the shop here, and I want to put it to the test. Because you know me, I want to find out, is it better, worse, how price compares? Because you know I love Kimber Bell's Project batting. So I want to compare. So they have that coming. Hopefully by next show it'll be here so we can talk about that. The other thing they have is what they call Trimmer by George, which I forgot to pack. In the old days, I like talking about old days, it was made out of metal. And I don't know about you guys, but I'd run into that with my blade and I'd be like, the noise it makes would make my skin go, ugh. I couldn't stand it. But it worked well for trimming so you didn't mistakenly cut your finished quilt. Hopefully I'll be able to demo it to you because they came out with George 3. Bigger, better, improved. It's made out of acrylic and it also doubles as a ruler, they say. So, you know me and gadgets, I gotta get the gadget. But all this started because they released a mystery quilt. And I went, oh my gosh, what do I love about mystery? I hate mystery quilts, by the way. Hate them. I don't think I've ever had one that I walked away from and went, well, that was a great experience. Well, that was fun. Usually I walk away and go, I wish I'd known in the beginning what we were doing because I would have done it differently. But this mystery quilt, I'm going to hold it up, Ed, so don't worry. They are releasing videos. It comes in 5 different block sizes. So even if you have a smaller embroidery machine, like a 6x10 hooper, not 4x4 people. But if you have a 6x10, I believe it will work. Goes all the way up to 9-inch blocks. But what they gave you, which is what I loved, they give you all your fabric for the whole month, okay? You don't have to be guessing what you're going to be working with for fabric. They give you everything you need, and I'm talking for Pines. I want them to put me up a kit. Here's my favorite thing. They came out with color variations. This is using grunge, too, which I just love a good grunge. But if you don't like grunge, if you use anything that reads it solid, because the beauty of this quilt is going to be in the embroidery. And Block 1 has already been released. I think Block 2 came out not Block 2, but Week 2 came out yesterday, but I haven't seen it yet. I was hoping to catch it up. But not only did they give me one colorway, they gave me a second colorway, because I have a hard time picking fabrics. And I'll tell you what, blue and yellow speaks to me big time. Oh, shush, Danny, it
I
does.
didn't say anything.
They're happy colors. I look at this, and this is nice. Julie tones, maybe. I don't know. They don't make me smile. These colors make me smile. And then they gave us, look at this. They gave us another version that looks springy. Now, you don't have to use any of these, but this is the first time I saw a mystery quill that gave me options. And they gave me the whole cut list, so you can come into Four Pines and they can cut your kit lickety split, and you're ready to go. And I purchased the pattern, and I have no time to make it, but I'm looking for a guinea pig who would like to make it with my pattern and my kit, so that I can test the Battleizer, the Trimmer by George, and fine tune how. Basically, I want to boss you. I want to boss you. So you do it my way. That's all I want. Nobody's volunteering. Anyway, it just started. You can hop on the bandwagon. I think they are asking $94 for the patent. All the videos are online. But like I said, of course, I've already, in my head, changed things. How they're doing a few things. I'm like, All right, the other thing that Becky can't get her mind off of is Lori Holt. Lori Holt just started a new along. It's an along because it's sewing along, crocheting along, bag making along. It's awesome. She's going back to a patent. It's a free patent on her website called Granny Squares that she did, I think she said 2014. You can download the patent for free. The granny squares, I don't know. You all know what a granny square, right? It is when you crochet granny squares. But she made a quilt patent with granny squares. And then she came out with a free cross-stitch patent of granny squares. And then, yeah.
No.
This is her chunky thread.
That's a Kimberbell bag.
Yeah, well, that's because I haven't made my Lori Holt bag yet.
I'm just telling.
Which, by the way, another thing Four Pines doesn't have that I got to go buy somewhere else. Just to tell you guys whether it's worth it or not to buy. Huh. But
well, we buy stuff that you tell us to. And then
well, I have to try.
Order.
I have to try. So she came out with these. She calls them chunky threads, but it's basically cotton yarn. But I bought samples because I wanted to see her colors. And they're just beautiful. And then there's a third one. So, the third one's open and all over the place in my bag. The third one's open. But I had to try these because, it's Lori Holt. And they go so beautifully with all her fabrics, including the new line that we're coming in, the Prairie that's coming in. She's just, yes, Danny.
So is this chunky thread for cross-stitching? Is that
This
what
chunky
we're
thread
about?
is for crocheting!
Ah.
Because she's going to show us, we're supposed to make as many granny squares as we can right now. All except the outer layer. The outer layer we're going to wait. I think we're going to make it all the same color every granny square. But what we're supposed to do is make 4 rounds of granny squares with any thread combination. We're not supposed to get tied up on thread combinations. Just 4 different threads. Close your eyes, pick them out, granny square it up. And then pile them up. Of course, her piles are like this big. Becky's got 3 and this much. Now, what I like about this, I never crocheted before, people. So I think I'm doing pretty well.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty well. And what I like about it is it's easy to take with me. And no kidding, sit by the pool. Sit by the pool with my granny squares. Anywhere you go. These are so easy to take with you. And you basically, and she's got the video on how to. I had to play it in slow motion about 6 times, but I got it. And she shows you how her grandmother taught her. So if you watch other YouTube videos, they do it differently. But I just love that she goes, well, my granny said, all you need to do is this. So I'm doing it the way Lori Holt's granny did it. And yeah, I bought some samples, but I'm loving it. So she even shows you how to tie in all your threads. And then she's going to show us how to put it together. And she's going to come up with 4 different projects to use our granny squares with when we're done. I don't know if there'll be one that uses 3 1/4, but we'll see. But check out Lori Holt's, and she's got a cross-stitch one, and she's got a free quilting pattern as well. And by the way, how cute are these? When you buy her, you know, I have to buy her stuff. Look at her hooks. One package comes with 3 different sizes, and they're all pretty colors. Yeah, matches her threads. I just look at her needles. Like I need a whole pack of needles. No, I don't, but I'm going to. Her packaging just slays me. And she does have some new bags on a panel that came out, but I don't have that yet. But anyway, check this out if you want to do a granny stitch along. She's got 3 different methods to do it. I'm crocheting. We'll see if I get any more done. And it's in a Kimberbell bag, yes, because that's what I had. But it works because I can see what's in it. And it's ready to go. Then, my friends, I know some of you don't want to belong to Facebook. I, for one, am one of those. But I feel the need to belong to Facebook for my crafting buddies. I wish I could defriend everything else. No, I don't mean that, Adriana. I don't mean that. Because I really don't like anything political. I don't like any hoopla. When I go there, it's because I just want to see what other people are up to. Like Kimberbells and Fellas. There's some cool stuff going on out there, and maybe next week I'll show you some of that. But I do really like Just Stitching with a Luminaire. It's a Facebook group that Terry Moffat started, oh gosh, I don't know how many years ago, when she owned a Dream Machine, actually. She started making YouTube videos, and then she bought a Luminaire, and she progressed into that. Now, she's not as active as she used to be because her husband has had some health issues, but the Facebook page is very active. She'll pipe in now and then, but the people on that Facebook page are amazing. One woman posted a picture of a bag. Now, don't switch to my computer yet. I think I got this one actually on my computer. One of the women posted this bag, and you're like, oh, Becky, whoop-de-doo, another bag. No, it's not just another bag. Let me see if I can hire it. What do I like? Oh, the picture's chopped off. What did I like about this bag? One, it had an outside pocket that was embroidered, and I said, now that's cute, because you know me and my project bags. Number 2, it has boxed corners, which if I'm sticking stuff in, like my hoops, I like a good boxed corner, I'm not going to tell a lie. And number 3, what you can't see is it has a zipper. So it's everything I love. It's got the zipper, it's got some tabs, it's got boxed corners, it's got a beautiful embroidered pocket. And look at that quilt. It's quilted, people. And you all know I can't stand it when you don't quilt the back of your pillows. I can't stand it when you don't quilt your bags. I just think, look at what difference this is. This was posted on Brothers. I don't know how many of you even go to Brothers' blog site, but Brothers USA has a website, and on it they have their ambassadors who write blogs all the time, one of which is Joanne Blanco. And if you go on there and you search Joanne Blanco, you'll see a lot of really cool things. Well, she's going to come out with a new YouTube channel. And the new YouTube channel is going to be all about decorative stitches on our Luminaire. And I'm like, that needs to be done because we don't do enough of that with our Luminaires. But the stitching she's quilted on that bag, now I was hoping I had Eddie up here because I was going to show him how to do his box corners and his zippers. Maybe next week we continue with box corners and zippers. Oh, by the way, that pattern came from iBroidery.com. I don't know if you know what iBroidery.com is. More links, please. iBroidery.com is Brothers' website for getting embroidery patterns. And once a month, there's a free pattern. This was the free pattern for March, which I happened to download when I was in Aruba because I went, oh, that's really cute. Don't know what I'm going to do with it. And then here, now it costs $12.99. But still, it's a cool pattern. But if you go on there once a month, and Joanne Blanco likes to take their free design and do something with it, which, because I always go, what am I going to do with that? Now, it wasn't the same time, but there it is, and I'm like, yeah, I'm making that bag, because it's got everything I want in it. All right. So if you go to Brothers' website and look up Joanne Blanco. The title of her thing is Free Design of the Month, March, How to Make a Custom Quilted and Embroidered Zip Cushion Bag you should have said with box corners. And by the way, it's lined, too. It will be lined. Now, let's forget about the embroidered pocket. I have to have an embroidery machine to do the embroidered pocket, right? But there's a lot of other things you can put on that pocket. You can use heat and bond and stick stuff on it. You can get a pretty picture of something and print it out on that printable fabric stuff and make that into a pocket. You can use a beautifully coordinated fabric. I mean, you don't have to have an embroidery machine to make this bag and to make it special. How did she do that quilting? That's my mind. Why? How did she do that quilting? And this is what I hope is going to work today. I'm going to show you the first. See, I even had stuff set up for Eddie, and then he bailed on me. First, I'll tell you. She tells you to take a 10 by 14 piece of fabric. You know, I'm using pretty happy green because that's my favorite color. Well, it isn't my favorite color, but this time of year I really like this color. Although in the camera it looks awfully bright. It's not neon green, people. It's not.
More like a lime.
Yes. Yeah. Limey green. My sister hates this color. Tina, sorry. I love this color. 2 10 by 14 pieces of fabric. I use grunge because I like grunge and I have a lot of grunge. 1 piece of 10 by 14 batting. I used Kimberbell's Project batting. My guess is you could use any low volume batting. I'm not sure Soft and Stable will work really well with this project because of the zipper, although I'm working on something for the zipper. But right now, see how low profile that is? Now, you could use something, you could interface it and make it stiffer if you wanted, but I didn't. I liked it to be limpy because my idea is if it's not full, I want to roll it up and stick it in a bag. So, 10 by 14. But how did she accomplish this stitching? And you don't need a fancy machine to do this, although I have a fancy machine, so I'm going to show you how I do it on a fancy machine. But you don't need a fancy machine. Most of you have the ability to make this happen. Want to find out how? No? Well, you're going to anyway. This is a monofill, a polyester monofill. Mine happens to be Superior Threads. I came into the store and I said, where's the store's monopoly? Because I'm doing a blah. I go, we don't have any. I'm like, how can you not have any of that?
Why is she throwing us under
How
the
can you not
bus?
have any of that? I'm like, that's part of my repertoire of specialty threads, along with fusible thread, water-soluble thread, Monte Polo. You need to have these things in your repertoire. You just need them. You never know when you're going to use them. The beauty of this thread is it doesn't show very much. It's clear, it's thin. I believe it's 100 weight, and it's clear. So when you lay it down, Molly Polly, you know what I'm talking about. You can't see it. Now, I did try this with Invisalign because they have that in the store. Was not the same. I tried. No, you need the Monte Poly for this look. You really do, because it melts away. But here's the trick, man. The colored thread is in my bobbin. And what we're doing is, you see, this colored thread is in my bobbin. Eddie, are you okay?
Yeah.
I hear clicking and I'm not paying attention to you. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick a utility stitch that you will have on your little machines, and I'm going to show you some adjustments to make to it so that what happens is we purposely are going to pull the bobbin thread up. Yes, we are. Which is exactly what we tell you you don't want to do. This time you do. So I'm going to show you first with the utility stitch built into the machine if all goes well. Tells me my thread is broken. Danny said she fixed it, but she didn't. If you do not have a luminaire, I'm going to show you quickly how to do it without a luminaire. But then I'm going to hopefully show you the beauty of a luminaire. The foot I have on now is probably the end foot, but you can use any open toe foot. Like I could use the J foot. I don't know if you... This also a lesson on some feet. J foot works because just tell me where to be. Here?
Yeah, that works.
Okay. Eddie, here? He said, stop moving around, Becky. This is the, oh God, this is the J foot. Okay, there we go. J foot. Got it? What I have on is the N foot. I like the N foot better. I don't know why. I think in my brain I can see things better. Joanne tells you to use the N foot. No, she tells you to use the J foot. I like the N foot. And the funny thing is your machine tells you to use something different. So, but anyway. Now, am I on this camera, Eddie? Yeah, okay. Let me get my utility because my fingers are really messy today. Okay. All of you have many stitches up here. Under number 1, you probably haven't used very many of these. I know I didn't. And what I'm trying, my goal right now is to do more with the luminaire because I'm just always about design center and quilting. And there's so much more it can do. So hopefully that's what we're going to show you this month. But anyway, see this stitch? Now my machine it's 1/7. It could be a different stitch on yours. But basically, there we go. It looks like a single 1, 3, single 1, 3. Now what that's telling me is it's going to stitch once, and then it's going to go 1, 2, 3. Stitch once, 1, 2, 3. Stitch once. When I do the stitch once, I want to pick up the mono thread that's not going to show. When I do the 1, 2, 3, I want to pick up my bobbin thread. If you look closely, it's heavier. It's heavier than my thread because it's actually doing it 3 times. Pretty cool, right? How do we make that happen? Well, if all goes well, I'm going to increase my stitch width. I'm going to go all the way to length, to 3.5. I like to have my little guy in the middle, so I'm also going to put my little guy in the middle. That's just because of my eyes. It's going to stitch the same whether it's in the middle or not. Almost in the middle. Yep, I like that one. Tension. See how it's 4 and it's black? 4 is normal, which means they're going to meet in the middle. But I don't want them to meet in the middle. I want my bobbin thread to come up over the top. So I'm going to increase my tension all the way to 7. Now, this is a start. Hopefully it pulls it up enough. If it doesn't, I can go up higher. So I've got my pretty thread in the bobbin, my mono poly in the top. And by the way, those of you who think you can't use your automatic brother threaders with mono poly, probably 9 out of 10 times it works perfectly. So I'm looking at a camera that's not looking at me. All right. No, it's okay. I'm sewing now, Ed. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this down. I'm going to lower my press-a-foot just because on your machines you would have to lower your press-a-foot. On Luminaire, I don't have to. Okay, and I'm going to press go. Oh, the other thing is I turned on my screen, I turned on my cut button with my scissors because I like it to automatically cut when I'm done. Now, if all goes well, please bless me. Please bless me. May Jesus be with me. Please. 1, 2, 3, 1. 1, 2, 3, 1. Oh, no. Jesus did not bless me. Brand new size 14 needle, by the way, which you'll never see me use a size 14 needle. But Joanne recommended it because we were doing the stitch and we were quilting, so I went with it. But that came out terrible. Let's cross our fingers that this test goes better. There's something wrong with my machine, Ed. These are my pretty ones that I did. See how pretty they are with no problem. Then I came in here, and this is what I got. Eddie's going to have to fix my machine after the show because that's not right. Something's wrong, or Danny did it.
I cleaned it.
Danny sabotaged me. Something isn't working right. What would you do? I've already rethreaded it, reset the bobbin. I probably would change my needle, blah, 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 blah. But we're going to move on.
Okay.
The good news is, if you make those settings, it's supposed to work.
And always use a practice piece.
And on a luminaire, you have what's called S stitches. An S stitch category has settings. Okay, Ed. This machine is unhappy. Has has all those settings set up for you. Watch what happens when I pick number 4, which is what I was using. Oh my God. Even my screen needs help, Eddie.
I told you.
I hate live shows. No. See how it's already set to, already automatically puts my tension at 7? And it's automatically adjusting the width. I have a 3, a 4, and 5. I can choose. Now my guess is nothing's going to go right, even with this one. But I'm trying one more time because I'm stupid. So if you have a luminaire, you have these stitches built right in, which I didn't know. I didn't even know what S was. But this machine isn't going to be happy. Here goes. I slowed it down, which you shouldn't have to do. But let's see if it's happier. I don't know if you guys can see how much better that looks. Can y'all see?
A little bit, yeah.
It's a much better one.
Yeah.
It is. All right. But nowhere near, I'm using the same thread I used at home. And look at the difference. This looks, you can see the 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now the other thing I wanted to point out is I did not use my walking foot in the beginning. Because you don't have to use a walking foot, but I wanted to show you what happened when I didn't use the walking foot. Where am I, Ed? Do you see how some of those stitches are like all clumped up together? See those? See them? See them? See how it didn't bump the way it should?
Yeah.
Right? Well, there's 2 reasons that happened to me. One is I might have sprayed the face or started to spray the face of my fabric with 505 instead of the back when I was trying to attach my batting. So the foot got stuck in my fabric and wouldn't move. Then I changed to a Teflon foot because I said, oh, this will work. And it didn't work. But then I went, hey, you got a walking foot, girlfriend. Wonder if that will work. And it did. It didn't matter that I had sticky spray all over the face. It walked just fine. So if you accidentally spray the wrong side of your fabric, try your walking foot. What is a walking foot? I had somebody in the shop the other day who said to me, walking foot? I said, yeah, put your walking foot on. I don't even know what a walking foot is. I go, well, it came with your machine. Yes, this was a person who owned a Dream machine for years and then upgraded to a Luminaire and had never taken the walking foot out of the bag. The walking foot feeds, see this little belt? It feeds the top fabric the same way that your feed dogs feed the bottom fabric, which is why even though I had sticky stuff all over my thing, all of a sudden it was feeding properly because of this secret little belt there. It wasn't just the bottom anymore that was being forced through my press-a-foot. It was both at the same time. Most people put this on if they're quilting and then they think they don't use it any other time, but in all honesty, it is a wonderful machine, a wonderful piece of equipment that we need to use more. So I used it to fix my problem here. And then I came in and I said, hey, you guys got that dynamic walking foot? And they all looked at me and said, what are you talking about, girlfriend? And I said, well, there's a new foot they came out with. It's smaller than this one, and it still walks. And the beauty is it goes backwards and forwards. See, this is belt-driven. The dynamic walking foot works more mechanically like the old-fashioned way, which is this guy, and it's much smaller. Now, they did have one in the store. They just didn't know what it was for. And I'll tell you what it's for. I would even put this on if I were piecing. I really would. I don't need to be quilting to take advantage of this. This would have fed through real nicely because what it does is it attaches to the needle, and as that's going forward, the bottom's going forward, it's got little teeth. It's actually got physical teeth. You can't see it, but it's got teeth on the top too. So it's going to feed the top and the bottom. And guess what else this guy can do? Go backwards. So he goes forwards and backwards, which is really a sweet option to have when you're doing decorative stitching, which I'm hoping to show you more of. So this little guy, I'm a little disappointed that I can't use all my beautiful feet on it It uses the wider feet just like this guy does. I wish they would have not done that because you never know when I want to use the dynamic walking foot with a 1/4 inch foot. I have to go buy the 1/4 inch foot now. So that's a bummer, but I'm going to put this guy to the test this week with some of our decorative stitching. But I'm very excited to have it because Brent said, I'm not going to order those. You don't need one of those. And apparently he did order them, and they're in. And look how tiny they are. Much nicer for everyday stitching than taking out this big hunka. But this guy does work really well. Okay, so that's those feet. What else was I going to talk? I was going to talk about, do I get a few minutes? Because my machine isn't working. I wanted to show you how I did this without marking a whole bunch of stuff on my luminaire. All I did was mark my X. Maybe I'll convince Brenda that there's a new way to do her bag pieces.
Maybe you will. I'm always up for new ideas.
She says maybe. We'll see. If her machine works better than mine. Okay.
Mine works fine.
Oh, good. Eddie's going to make sure mine works fine, too.
Sometimes it's the operator.
Except I just did all of this, so. Anyway, what I'm going to talk about is I just made one X. One of the fun things about the luminaire, and I just showed off the S stitches with all the built-in stuff. But the other thing it has is, y'all know it has fancy projectors, right? Which we'll probably learn more about as we go on. Now, I'm going to put this underneath here just to help show it off. I turned on the little projector button. It's called the guideline button. It's the guideline button. And what you're seeing right now is a red and green line on the fabric, hopefully. I'm going to show you what we're going to change it to anyway. What I like to do is go to the sub area and I turn on the grid. Now when I turn on the grid, you see how, let me turn it to red, see if that helps. Yeah. See how I have like a grid on my fabric now? Is that showing? Eddie, that doesn't show. Get with it here. There we go. Thank you. Now, that grid is tiny. It's not the grid I wanted. I wanted approximately 1 inch apart, right? So I can actually increase my grid size simply by pushing on this button. Thank you, Danny. Whoop, and I was looking for 1/2 inch. There it is. That's what I want. Now if I move over every other red line, I'm done. Unfortunately, my machine isn't working right, but I'm going to try and sample it anyway. Let's pretend this first one is my straight X. See, I won't use this because I want another bag. Let's see what it does. Let's see if I can just get it. It was working better, just not. Nope. I can feel it. It's not happy. It's not happy. Okay, let's cut this off. Now let's use my grid. Now you can put your grids on angles too, by the way. It actually didn't look too bad. Now I want to move over 1 inch. So all I'm doing, boy, I sewed crooked. That's all right. So now I'm taking this red line. Is that showing up, Eddie? And I'm moving it over where I just stitched. Now some of you with other machines have those bars that you can place and keep moving the bar,
Right.
but this, I'm moving it over too. So I end up with 1 inch. So now when I start stitching again, I haven't had to mark my whole fabric. I marked one line. And off I go. No marks. And I mark with a friction pen because you know I'm just going to iron it out. See it going? Look how straight that is. Well, it would be if I was paying attention to what I was doing. I'm looking up.
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
Yeah. So you have this built-in grid. Now this grid does a whole lot of other things as well. But today I wanted to just show you how, yeah, see now I can see how crooked I am. It's not showing on you. Haha, good. But one line, and I can change my grid and go straight. I also, if I was doing angles, I can tell it what angle and how far apart I want it. Like right now it's at 90 degrees, but I can do 60. Can we see that changing, Ed? You're sleeping on me, Ed. See that changing? 45, 60. See it?
Yep.
Pretty cool, right? So when would you use 45? Maybe when you're putting your binding pieces together. Just saying. Just saying. Brenda's like, yes, Brenda, you have that on your machine.
I never knew that. But it shows
Good.
a new way of working.
I actually use this for 1/4 inch lots of times. I'll set up I'll use a
Yeah,
line.
Becky does too.
Yeah, my subline, and I'll take my width and I'll widen it up. See how it's moving? Did you see how it moved? And I'll set it up to 1/4 inch. That means if I line my fabric up with this line right here, I'm sewing right here, and that's a 1/4 inch.
That's the only time I use that light. I never do
Really?
I never
The
do
grid is phenomenal. The grid is phenomenal, and a lot of people forget about the grid.
I like the.
You have a white color, which isn't good for me today. You have a green, you have a red, and on the main one, you can also change that to be small, medium, and large for your line length. See how that's little, shorter? That one's really short. This is what I like, long. I like them long.
Yeah, we couldn't see the small one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I set mine on long, and lots of times I'll set my main one to one color, green, I just changed it to, and my sub to a red. But under sub, a lot of people use the line, but there's a really cool grid that, I think this stitch would be really pretty to highlight some edge treatments on quilts, maybe even binding. If the machine was, well, actually the machine started cooperating better, so that's good. All right, I'm past due. I gotta say one more thing. I'm so far under the bus. Oh no, no buses. The other thing that she showed off, which I don't know how many of you have worked with, is the J foot. Not the J foot, the G foot. Anybody out there in Leatherland use the G foot?
Yes.
Brenda says yes. Danny says yes. Brenda, what do you use the G foot for?
Connecting two different pieces of material. Put them together, and it'll overstitch both pieces.
You mean butting them up?
Butting up your two pieces, and it'll stitch them together.
You use the G foot for that?
Yeah, that's what it was for.
Huh, I'm sure.
I read that in the book.
Okay. Brenda says she uses it when she's butting up two pieces of fabric. So we'll stitch over the two pieces and stick them together. Sometimes you might do that with batting. I'm sure Danny does it with stabilizer.
Probably.
And batting.
And batting to save on it. So you
Not me.
so you do it like that, which is interesting, but that's not how Joanne showed it. And I truthfully have never used the G foot before, so maybe I'll know something I don't know, and I'm just spinning wheels. But here's how she used it. I'm not going to change my thread and everything because we're running over. But she used it for overlocking. And again, I thought, oh, I could have used that when I was making those Annie bags. It would drive me crazy because I kept going in too far, over too far, couldn't get it right. Well, guess what the G foot does for us? Close. Let's just go to a regular zigzag foot. A regular zigzag stitch, I should say. No, that's not a regular one.
10.
Okay.
10.
That is 10.
Okay.
That is 10, my friend.
Yeah.
It's 10. I'm going to increase the width up here because I'm just using it as a zigzagger. Okay. If I take the edge of my fabric and I line it up with the edge of my G foot, and if you notice, it doesn't show, guys, there's a little flange on that G foot that's going to hug the edge of my fabric. It's for overlocking.
I've used that before we got the bi-level foot.
Yep.
I used to use that to sew close to
This isn't
the edge
cut
on
straight.
something.
Brenda said before we had bi-level feet, which I hope to show off as well, before we had bi-level feet, she would use the G foot to go close to the edge, which is exactly what I'm doing here.
Right.
It's got a little flange, similar to what your 1/4 inch foot does, but it's set in. So as I sew right now, I've increased my width to 3.5 to make it wider, like you saw in the sample. And I increased my length to 4 because I didn't want them like really close together. But this gives you a really nice finishing stitch without taking out a serger. And there are other options, believe it or not, which we'll get into maybe, not today. But what the cool thing is, that G, that flange, it just, this has got the wrong thread in it, so. I'm just riding against the edge of that G foot. Yeah, I knew you'd break. Shush. By riding along just the edge. Oh, I said stop. Thank you. That's how I got. We'll pretend we just did this one. See how beautiful that is? Riding around the edge. That's my G foot. So if you haven't got your G foot out, and you're making by any bags, or any bag, frankly, because this bag's going to get lined, but it gets lined after we put it together, that G foot is, you've got all sorts of overlock capabilities. There's even more. We're just talking about the zigzag one right now. So if you haven't unpacked your G foot, unpack your G foot. If you haven't unpacked your walking foot, unpack your walking foot. If you want to try this baby, come in and get one. Am I done?
You're done.
Okay, wait, I have to sign off, Ed.
You're gonna do it, Brent?
Yeah. If anybody stayed and watched. Like, share, and subscribe, everybody.
Good job.
We need more people.
Oh my God, she's gonna get hurt.
Hello, everybody. Rode in on my scooter, just to let you all know. What does he say? So on. I was looking at the shirt, but it says shenanigans. So on and be excellent to one another. Now wait, and then Becky's got to do a sign off. He cut me off.
He did cut you off.
Toodles!